Welcome to day 5 and the final day of the Max Out That Money Challenge. Okay, today we are going to talk about the 5th step when it comes to positioning yourself for your performance evaluation. And I'm going to quick recap of the week that we've gone through. Day 1 was about action was to spend some time into the mind and the shoes of your manager, understanding the work and the process that they have to go through when preparing for a performance evaluation for you and for your team. Day 2 was about being clear of what has been expected of you in this role when it comes to your job description, goals, KPIs, OKRs, anything that you have kind of documented or undocumented for a lot of people when it comes to like what is expected, what am I getting paid to do basically. And on day 3, we looked at, okay, that was expected of me, what have you actually done, and how to package that and communicate that to your manager in a way so that they understand the achievements and deliverables that you have had that qualifies you for, bonus payouts, promotions, raises, basically the goal of why we're doing this challenge. And then yesterday on day 4, we talked about what you have done that has been above and beyond the expectations. And that's where the magic really happens, when you are looking to attract opportunities and really being recognized and being identified as a key player that your company does not want to lose. It's about really solving problems for your companies, for your clients, and for your boss. In a perfect world, I would say that it's just for clients, but we know that that's not how it is. Office politics are real. And that is really a good segue into what we're going to talk about today, because that is, how did you do it? We focus a lot about, the work we do, the deliverables we have, and the achievements. But let's be honest that in these days of unconscious bias, which is basically that we have, all these perceptions that are ingrained in us subconsciously about, it could be about gender, it could be about race, it could be about people from different cultures, it could be about people who look or speak in certain ways. And at the end of the day, it's really about that we are wired to like people who look like us, talk like us, think like us. And this is where we need to just take a step aside from how the world works and how exhausting it is, and that we just wish it were a different way. And we just have to, put that in the back seat and just look at, how can I use this to my favor? And what I would really like for you to think a little bit about is, how do you do the work you do and how you present yourself to, your boss, your team, your colleagues, whatever it is, and think about, what is it like to work with me? Because this is absolutely a factor when it comes to being identified as both a key player or a key person, a high performer, but also being seen as a team player. And this is me speaking from experience, both, as a colleague, as a manager, as I've done, consulting in companies, and as a coach, and how important it is. And this is something that we're not really comfortable talking about in companies, because obviously it's, it could rub a lot of people the wrong way. But I'm here to tell you that how you do your work and kind of the stress that you put on the people around you will, of course, impact the perception that people have of you. And when that season comes around to really rewarding the people who act in a certain way and have done a certain way, that will be mirrored in your evaluation. So, for example, if you always have a bad attitude, if you're stressing people out, if you don't really act in accordance with the values of the company, whether those values are, written on a wall like they are in a startup, or it's more the enactment of how people do things, that will affect your organization or your evaluation. So examples of this can also be something that I noted here that I didn't want to forget, that are you really living up to your potential? I've had a performance evaluation with an employee that I thought had a huge potential, but I just saw that all year she was kind of half-assing it. I knew that she could do so much more, and she said to me that she wanted to achieve so much more, but she was being sloppy, and she, I could see that she really wasn't into it. And that's allowed. I just want to be clear, you're allowed to do the work your way. And if it came to a point where it was unbearable as a manager, it's my job to, of course, set that up. But when performance evaluation season came around, I gave her that feedback. I gave her like a lower score because I felt like she had the potential to do so much more work and that she wasn't delivering on it. I don't think she loved that, but that's the truth. And as a manager, it is in my power to make a call like that. Yes, and also another thing that I really want to stress here is that something that I talk a lot about, it is also the impression that you give when it comes to showing that you can take on more responsibility. Because if you're always like frazzled and frantic and running around and always like delivering things last minute or late, and you're like sending emails in the middle of the night, and when you're sitting in the meetings, you're like frantically tapping away on your laptop, that doesn't really give the impression that you have the capacity to take on more work. And that is also something that comes into consideration when, if you're up for a promotion. One of the things, consciously or subconsciously, that is going to affect that decision is the impression that you give that you are not working at full capacity. And then if you are working at full capacity, that's a separate discussion. But what we're talking about in this challenge is really about the impression that you give and you putting yourself forward, showing that you are a key player, that the company should be interested in investing in you and rewarding you and making you feel seen, heard, and valued. That's it. That's what I had for this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. I am going to post one more thing on Sunday as a follow-up to this. So stay tuned for that. I can't say more than that. I almost like. But anyway, I will post a follow-up to this for those of you who have enjoyed this, thank you so much. I would love your feedback if you have any thoughts. And if this gave you something, please reach out. I would love to hear about it. Thank you.